Hello Moses, Joy and Sam. This is second time of it recording. And the phone I use is Samsung Note 2. I bought in 2013. It is 5 years and a half, 5.5 years ago. Sorry, about 5 years ago, I bought it. And it is the microphone function is not good, and the video quality is only the maximum is 480p. So just listen. Yeah, I'm not a good-looking person because of my age. When I was young, I was good. Yeah, people say that. People said that I was good. But now, in my age, if I say I'm pretty and I'm beautiful, oh, it is not. I'm not good looking. But so you just listen, focus on listening to my voice, and I ask you. And I want to say about my birth. The family line. So actually, very little things I heard from my own biological father. So I'm not sure what I really saying truth or not. But anyway, if there is a memory, I will talk about it, about my birth. So you will know why it is complicated to say and understand the date of my birth. So in 1967, I was born. Born in Paju, Gyeonggi-do, Gyeonggi area, Gyeonggi province. The Paju is the borderline county with North Korea. And my youngest aunt lived there. Their family lived there. And I heard that my father and my father's sister, my aunts, lived together there in Paju area in 1967, such years. But the problem was that when I was born, my father was not at home. Since it was very poor time of South Korea in 1967, you know, South Korea was very poor. And my father also suffered a lot to earn a living. And he decided to leave his home to find a good job or to make money. So he was not there, and nobody reported my birth to the government, to the office of the government community center there. And someday my mother told to the 이장님. 이장 is the kind of leader of 100 kind of households, the village leader. And this village leader forgot about my birth report to the government. And only in 1969, about 20 months later, I don't know who did it, but anyway, it was reported, and that's why my birth year is 1969, not 1967. So when I was at school, I was the youngest boy in my class A, my age of classes. So in 1969 is my official birth year, and it affected my entrance to the police academy or the military academy, because I was too young to apply to the academy. So when I was born, I was raised in Paju in Gyeonggi-do. And I do not know exactly how long did I live there. And my mother, your grandmother, also do not remember about things. She is now 81 years old. But my early age, it was quite, for me, it is very hard to remember. I had no memory, but mostly my mother told me, and sometimes I met my father, even though I have no memory with my father actually, because in my school years, I have a very short period of time to live with my father. Elementary school year and middle school year, I did not live with my father. In high school year and the busiest years, I have lived with my father, but I was busy to study because of my preparation for the college entrance examination. And mostly, I had no memory with my father. Yeah, there is some photos remained, and I try to remind myself and remember my father through this photo. But unfortunately, I had no good memory with my father, because your grandfather, my father, is a handsome-looking man and had many in his young age. He went outside from his family and got a job and became a policeman, but he didn't join with his family. He didn't want to live together with us. And before he died, I met him, and he said that I was wrong. He said that I was wrong. I was very selfish. I was raised in a family where there were two of his brother and sister died in early age. So he was a very precious son to his parents, my grandparents. And because of that, my father lived selfishly. He said to me, that he lived in. So he didn't know anything about the family thing, anything about living together. So he just wanted to live alone. And as a policeman, he lived and sent a very little money. My memory, it was very, very poor, always. And I had, sometimes I went to the village office there and get a flour with, because it was provided to the poor family in the village. And when I was in 6th grade, usually when I went to the elementary school, I didn't bring any lunchbox. Yeah. But there was a lunch time. So I usually skip the lunch. But one day, my teacher told me to come to the health 양호실. It is the health office, and there was several students who are poor, and they received the 건빵, dried flowers, a kind of military. In the military, you usually eat it. 건빵, it's a dry bread with a dry milk with water. Yeah, it was hard for me to eat it. Yeah. But anyway, my teacher was gracious to me, and in my 6th grade, I could eat something in my lunchtime. So in my early age, my worldview was established, founded, and I think that based upon the poverty. So I lived in a poor area of South Korea, and among the poor people, I was the poorest, one of the poorest people. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I lived together with my grandparents, grandfather and grandmother, and my mother, all of them 8 persons. Lived in one room, very small room. And until 4th grade, the roof was made of plants, made of the rice, dried rice plants. We call thatched house. And it was once burned. Yeah, I will talk about it later. Anyway, when I was born, the country was poor, my village was poor, my family was poor. So I just thought that I had to study hard. People usually said, if you want to escape from this poverty, you have to study very hard to enter the good university, to go to the city and enter the good university, or at that time, military academy. Then you will overcome your destiny. So I studied hard, and yeah, I could get some attention from the people. Teachers, especially teachers, recognized me, and that's why I continued to focus on studying. And I know that your life is very, very different from mine. When you were born, the South Korea was not poor. In Moses, you were born in 1994 in Moscow, Russia. Since I went to Russia to share the gospel with college students there, you were born in 1994. And I had to say, your biological mother, you have already known about it. I met her in my college time. And after I dismissed from the army, I was introduced to my senior, older students. And at that time, I was very young. 1992, 1991, it was my 24 years old. And officially it is, so I will use official age because I have lived with this. So in 1991, when I was in 23 years old, I married with your mother, Moses, in the church. I met her in the church, and we both had a passion for preaching the gospel at that time. And she decided to go to Russia. And after I finished college and army service, I needed direction, and I was introduced to her and decided to marry her. So in April 1991, I married with your mom. And she left first to Russia in September in 1991. I'm not sure the exact month. And 5 months later, I left Seoul to Moscow in 1992. February 1992, I arrived in Moscow, Russia. And I lived there 2 years and 8 months Yeah, I went there and come back because the visa issue. The Russia has a very strict visa rule, so I had to leave Russia to renew every 6 months, renew the visa. Anyway, when you were born in the hospital in Moscow, so your mother vomited blood. So there was emergencies, the situation, and the doctors decided to give birth to you, deliver you first, and then treat her the problem with the blood. So you were born in 1994, and after that she was operated because the reason of her vomiting the blood was the stomach cancer. So they cut the stomach and treated, and after about 40 days she could come out of the hospital, and we decided to come back to Korea with you. And in October 1994 we returned. You also. So Moses, when you were born in 1994, I think it is very hard to say that, oh, South Korea is a rich country. No. Just we call developing country. But anyway, much more richer than the 1960s. So when you were born in 1994, it was different from my age. And Joy, the biological mother of Moses, my first wife, died of cancer in 1997. And after 2 years, I was also introduced to one lady, and I met her, and I also decided to marry her. At this time, she was younger than me, and we married in January 1999. And Joy, you were born in 2000. We call Millennium Baby. And I can say that in 2000, Korea is becoming a rich country, one of the rich countries. Even though South Korea was OECD members, it was very hard to say that, oh, South Korea is a rich country. Usually these days people say, oh, South Korea is rich. They say, yeah, that's right. And Sam, year 2002, you were born after the hot 2002 World Cup, the games of soccer games. So when I was born, South Korea was poor, but when you were born, it is very hard to say that South Korea was poor. And when you were born, yeah, Moses, when you were young, I was poor also. But I began to work in 1995, December 1995. So, and year 2000 and year 2002, more and more I could live as a, actually not a middle class, but I thought myself as a middle class. Anyway, I am saying this to let you know my life. So understand me. When you find many differences or many things you cannot understand about me, I think it is because of these differences that we call generation gap. So, okay. Before finishing this episode, I want to share the Bible verse with you. The John chapter 1 verse 2. He was with God in the beginning. Here the Word, is Jesus. The Word became flesh and dwelled among us. So Jesus became flesh even though he was God and dwelled with the creatures, human beings. But his original identity is God. He was with God in the beginning. Here in the beginning, beginning is not there one of the time, but I think it is the eternity. Jesus with God in the eternity. And here I want to share with somebody how to live together with somebody. Jesus was with God in eternity. In the eternal world, Jesus was eternally exists with God the Father. And it is very hard to live together, be together every time. But God the Father and God the Son show that what is togetherness. In the Bible, there are some moments mentioning about this relationship. And I pray that you may understand this relationship. And also I want to have such kind of intimate and close relationship with you as the God the Father had with God the Son, Jesus. I will try my best. So please help me. And as I understand, this relationship is not just effective in this world. If we die, even though we live in another area, the way how to have proper and right relationship with your neighbor, with other people, with your friends, with your relatives, with your companions and colleagues, it is very important to have a proper relationship with somebody. And the exact and best model of that relationship is, I think, is the relationship between God the Father and the God the Son. So let's try our best. Let's pray God to help us to have such kind of relationship with others. First, to have a relationship with God first, and then to have such intimate relationship with others, your neighbor. The relationship between you and me, the children and the father, actually, we call the father-son relationship, father-daughter relationship. But it is not just a terminology. If you want to reach the deep, exact, and intimate, real relationship, we need to give energy to make it. So relationship is not automatically made. We need energy. We need attention. We need think about it. So Jesus was with God in the beginning, in eternity. Likewise, let us, if I say, I was with you, or I was with my children in my life. No, I can't say like that. I understand. I admit it. But from now on, I'm trying to have such relationship with you also. I can say with your mother, my wife. So I am with Lydia nowadays. Yeah, I can say like that. Even though we live in different place, but through internet and through the prayer, I feel that I am with my wife. So when you live with your wife or your husband, think about it. To have a proper relationship, the best model is you need to read the John's Gospel. John's Gospel, there are so many such relationships with God the Father and God the Son. We call God and Jesus. So think about it, and you will find so many mysterious things, beautiful things, amazing stories, and the secrets. And okay, today I will finish here and see you next time. Bye bye.